if we expect the government to do more than that at this time, when you can again hear our resources are thin, so we have to really be able to see, where do we put our money. I believe there's a lot of goodwill for doctors, for clinical officers in the administration, and when the time is right and when everything has been, when we have recovered in terms of the economy, there'll be consideration for their wishes. But I think this is really the wrong time to try and say, give us more money. If you're talking about insurance for the risk that they're taking, I believe that one they're entitled to. If you're talking about hardship allowance, I believe that one is something they're entitled to, and I think that has been availed. So I think the grievances that they have, especially on pay, on higher pay, could be perhaps postponed until such time when we are all, back to the same level that we were before COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
But the sentiment coming across is the fact that some people are feeling the sense of urgency that this matter should be dealt with isn't getting what it deserves, because we have a deal made with the doctors and the national government. COG comes in and says, we don't have any money. Treasury hasn't given us any money. And we're back in the same problem already. They're talking about, and they're really asking for the basics. If I'm going to go in and treat people who might have COVID-19, I really need PPEs. I would need health insurance. I would need the hardship allowance. This is what they're asking for. Yet it seems no one can hear their plea until they're sacked.
No, I believe that there is actually all those things are supposed to be prioritized. And I think then we also have to look at the county governments, when the money is disbursed, like the 133 billion that was disbursed just the other day by the National Treasury, I think that was in December or November. Where do they put their priorities with the money that they receive? You understand? So that's the other question, because the government can keep pouring money into these counties. But if when you receive money, you decide you're going to put the money somewhere else, as opposed to what it is that you should prioritize, such as healthcare and education, those kinds of things, then there is only so much that the government can do, because it cannot come and whip you and tell you, hiyo pesa nimepatia, patia madaktari kwanza, usiende kufanya vitu zingine. But so I think also governors have to be a little bit more considerate of the priorities of the people at the grassroots, because the government cannot dictate. Once the money has been sent, governors are at liberty to channel the resources in any direction.
Right. Do you think the fault with this specific issue, Dennis, falls with the second level of government, the devolved units? That's where the problem is when it comes to the funding and the healthcare situation, because it's a lot of finger pointing going on right now.
I think both levels of government share the blame. County governments have not done any better in terms of, because health is involved, and they could have done much better if you ask me, because they have fewer facilities, they have unique setting that they are closer to the people. They could have done way better in terms of improving healthcare. But Jeff, even the national government, in fact the Jubilee government prioritized healthcare at one point, and there was this concept of universal healthcare, and I saw a lot of pomp and color in initiating the process. Nobody will tell you about it today. If you ask anybody from government, they'll know. That's a very uncomfortable question. When we think of universal healthcare, 2 years on, I think it's about 2 years since this was initiated, nothing.
Agatako aria ma introducire thini wa njohi riria mamenyire ni ndage na thina wa addiction diamonire ringi. So they will get you in, but once you are in trouble, they will never be there to get you out. Koguo magutiganagĩria, arafu ũndũ ũngĩ nĩ kũrĩ andũ me control ya njohi, atĩ nĩ amenyaga anyua nginya hana rĩ ngĩmũ control. No rĩu nĩ kũrĩ andũ extreme, niĩ ndarĩ extreme kunywa biũ, niĩ ndiũĩ, niĩ ndatua gwĩka ũndũ ũrĩa nyũmbĩtwo wa ngeci, niĩ njĩkaga biũ, ndiendaga gwĩka na ngoro igĩrĩ. Koguo njiugaga Ngai nĩ akahe muoyo, tondũ angĩkorwo nĩ gũtungata nĩ gũtungata biũ.
Reke kũria atĩrĩrĩ, hakinyire tondũ nĩ njũĩ kũrĩ o angĩ ona inia gospel manyuaga mehithĩte, ũgathiĩ handũ ũgaikara ũkanyua ndũrenda kuonwo, tondũ kiugo kĩa Ngai nĩkĩo gĩgũthitangaga, na Ngai nĩ akoragwo agĩkuonia kũrĩa ũgũthiĩ wahota gũthiĩ ũkĩrũke. Wahotire atĩa kwaga, wakinyire harĩa gĩtuĩka rĩu nĩ yakĩrũka?
All right, riu kiria haria kirukire ri ndaikaranga UK ni riu ni ndaumire na kuu, tondu wa mbere nuona ndathie guthoma na we UK angikorwo ndurathoma na ndukiri na maratathi magikara kuu na ndukiri a government expatriate na ndukiri a refugee, koguo ni kudipotwo
ndukajire ni kudipotwo
we asa gatha nyandarwa sa no andu aingi meciragia ni kudipotwo ndipotirwo
ni kuma wa
nie ndakiririe uguo ngiona riu muturire wakwa uri uhana ona wira uria mundu akirutaga wira part time nako ngiona muturire wakwa ni ngukwira guku onokorwo ni njikite maria njikite thukuru ni ndorire, college ni ndorire, Newham College UK nä ndorire onokorwo nä nginyä haha rä nä ngå coka Kenya koguo ngĩoya mĩrigo yakwa ngĩcoka kũ ngĩcoka gũkũ Kenya nĩ niĩ ndeingĩririe ndege na ngĩcoka Kenya ndacoka Kenya rĩ nĩ ndacoka.
What has bedeviled the country is the level of corruption. The institution around healthcare, everybody is busy stealing. You remember KEMSA, we had grant theft and it's now done. I mean, we are moved forward. We are waiting for the next scandal, which I can assure you will quote me next time, coming from Ministry of Education. Because we have opened schools.
Because of the desks?
The desks are there, money has been released.
No.
I can tell you for sure, the next time we are reporting, you'll be told that nobody who supplied the desks has been paid.
But yes, the CS tried to explain that, Dennis. He said that they are trying to send this mobile money. Some people can't take all of that money into their phone, so they need to send that money elsewhere to get more of the money that they're being paid.
Jeff, what are you talking about? We have not had mobile transfer money as the only mode of payment. Jeff, we have the Public Procurement Act, we have the Banking Act, we have all these laws that allows people to receive money through checks, through whatever it is. You cannot explain, you cannot tell people. How have the government been paying billions that we see to other people? Is it by mobile fund transfer? Those are just interesting explanations. You look at the leaders saying it and you wonder if they're taking Kenyans for fools. The reality is there is a problem. And unless the leaders accept we have a problem, let us solve the problem.
Okay.
That is the starting point, so that we don't have, if you ask me as a country and a government, the people who are there, the leaders we have, they kind of look at where will be the next level where money can be stolen and can be justified. Then that becomes the next big thing. Health used to be a very big issue when COVID came. Everybody focused on it. Till there was a scandal, there was several million that were used to take tea. We couldn't explain it. Today we have been told there's a problem. After the COVID, and we are told numbers have gone down. In fact, people even started doubting whether really COVID existed because the manner in which the whole thing was rolling out. After that, the next thing, government put so much money for schools to reopen. And if you ask me, the intentions were good. But how do you, in prioritizing education sector, say you want desks, but you want to have them placed outside the tree? You want people to sit outside and have the education. And as God knows it, the rains have just come in, so people can no longer sit under the tree. We have no single classroom. National government had the fund through CDF. They could have increased the number of classes. They could have increased the number of teachers. If you're going to maintain social distance, within the 9 months period, they could have projected that we will need to have more teachers employed, we need to have a bigger budget, we need to have these funds available. That did not happen. Leaders react to a situation and they are not able to justify what they're doing.
Slowly, Lydia is turning herself into, the government's defender in terms of the position they are taking.
Because he's taking such an extreme view.
But don't you feel that his concerns are valid in the sense that we had 9 months to try and see how we can social?
No, he's making very broad statements, which are actually just not correct. You cannot say that the government officers are seated somewhere just watching out for the next big thing so they can steal money. I think, every civil servant must be offended at your statement, because that is not what public service is. Public servants have been breaking their backs to keep this country together and keep services going all the way from April, despite the very risk to their own lives. And even those doctors, they are also public servants. So when you say that we are waiting for the next, I don't know, whatever money is going so we can all swim there and go steal it, I think it's very, very inaccurate. It's very unfair to every public servant in this nation. And that's why I'm saying he's making very sweeping statements. He just said that this government, ni serikali ya PR. I mean, you can say certain things, but you have to defend it. Because are we not having the SGR, issues of how much it costs, aside? Is it there or is it not there? Do we have the railway system towards central Kenya revived or not? Do we have the port of Kisumu working? Do we have all these thousands of kilometers of road actually built? They are there. So I think when you say that serikali ni serikali ya PR, I think also you have to be a bit fair. When you talk about universal healthcare was a noble idea. And we had it, what you have to do is to try. So there were some counties that were supposed to be piloted, I think 10 counties. And the model was, I think the model was let's fund the hospitals and then let people go to the hospitals and then we refund the hospitals. But when they tried it in the counties, they realized that's not a suitable model. So now they've gone back to the drawing board to rework the model, which now involves private insurance companies, so Kenyans can have insurance, and then they go, and then the hospitals are able to claim from there. So it's just a remodeling, and there's nothing wrong with curating an idea, perfecting it, trying it. If it doesn't work, you come back, you curate it, and you perfect it. And I think the Minister for Health is completely committed to universal healthcare. And I can guarantee almost before this president finishes this term, we will have a way forward. Even if we will not have rolled it out, we will have a working model that somebody else can then pick and, and actualize fully. Right. So I think we have to tell a more complete story, to Kenyans about the situation in this country, because also we risk creating a lot of despair, and despair, breeds, breeds a desperate nation. Right. So I think also even in terms of how we speak, let us not get Kenyans to lose hope and say, okay, we are done, we are finished, this is Armageddon and evil. We have to speak in a way that also Kenyans can be able to look forward to a future that is better than where they are right now.
Right. Okay, let's speak to another issue. Do you want to respond to that very quickly?
Very quickly. These statements are not cast in stone. They are statements based on realities of the level of scandals we see every day. They are statements that any ordinary Kenyan will tell you that they anticipate their problems. When you listen to the leadership of the government, and when I say government has a problem, I know there are very many players within government. There's public service. But I'm not referring to the junior officers in public. I'm referring to people who have the final responsibility to ensure execution of programs, the final responsibility to ensure that policies are made and implemented on the ground. The reality is that we have seen scandal by scandal in every institution. We've lost a lot of money, and there's a challenge that if, and I will want to be hopeful, but I want a government not to come and tell me how they plan. They have been in office for this period of time. I want to see implementation as a Kenyan. I want to see that healthcare working. When today, and I want to believe that my colleague here is not holding brief for the government. If she confirms she's holding brief, then I could take her on a few issues. But because she's not, I'll not do that. But when you are told healthcare should have been implemented, there's a problem within it. And now you are told that we'll go back and get private insurance companies coming into place. Individuals are paying for this private insurance company. Government is not paying. When we are tempted to say that, okay, let us take the national insurance cover, national NHIF, then there was a scandal immediately and it died. We've had, for the first time, we have had so many scandals that you cannot even keep track on what is happening with our money. We can no longer ask our leaders to be accountable because literally every program is not executed without a scandal. And I'm glad that leader here admits that even the SGR, which government wants to pride it as a noble idea, you cannot even present it without seeing the questions on how it was procured, how much money was put in it, how much money we have lost. We have had cases in court and the documentation showing that we've really been taken a ride. Today, we are told there are 2 loans from China which have matured, yet we cannot break even with this SGR. By the time we break even, probably another 10 years in the future, I don't know how long it will take, we will even ask, why are we doing this? Because we are not earned as a country. We have been paying loans for this period of time. Perhaps the gauge itself will require to be maintained. Our top leadership are making wrong decisions. Yet the Constitution allows public participation. We are no longer a country where I am as a person or as a president, you are the master of all, where it's either your idea or no idea. We are in a country where we have agreed as a country, we have a constitution where you involve everyone, where we are able to tell you as a president through systems that we think SGR is not a good idea, that we think what you want to implement and we are spending resources and time is not going to work, so that we can all move together as a country, because what you are doing is in trust for all of us as Kenyans.
Lydia, even as we move this forward, because like you said, the whole fundamental idea behind BBI is to try and make sure there's none of that rhythmic violence that we see, rhythmic tensions in the economy and the political space as well. But some people are saying it's much easier to just make sure we have more stringent laws for the politicians, because it's usually when the politician needs a job that you have this rhythmic tension. After that, Kenyans are fine. I will have tea with Dennis. I will call you up until there's someone who wants an office. Then we can't see eye to eye. If we had more stringent laws in terms of campaign financing, how political parties carry out their business, then we'd solve this very quickly. Because some people have said, if someone puts billions of shillings and doesn't get the presidency, clearly he'll have to take it to the streets. If we deal with these issues and tighten our laws, then we'd be home and dry. What's your reaction to that?
I think we oversimplify when we say that it's in jobs for individuals. When somebody runs for office at the level especially of the president, there is an entire force of people behind them. people who believe in the idea that they're perpetuating or just believe in the human being that that person is. And when that person loses an election, all that, avalanche of people behind them, they feel lost, where the things that they believed in, the things they wanted done, what will happen to those things? What will happen to those ideas? The life force that they wanted to invest in the building of the nation and the governance of the nation. Are they supposed to just sit that for the next 5 years and all that will not matter for the next 5 years? And those are the people who tend to put the politician, the person at the front, under pressure. You remember when we were having the 2007, 2008 clashes? And you remember, I think even Kofi Annan has written about it, how the leaders, on the side of each, Kibaki and Raila, would hardline in the boardroom. It was not Kibaki and Raila who were hardlining. It's their followers and the team, that they were coming with. And you can imagine those teams also had other people and layers of people behind them saying, no, don't cede. Kibaki is the president to Songe. Everybody else inje. So you have to think about it in those terms, the people behind the leader. And then you think, these people, they're the ones who end up feeling disenfranchised. They're the ones who feel left out. They're the ones who feel, is serikali si yetu, hata hatupendi huyu mtu, hata who is not our president. How do you create a scenario where when somebody wins, the rest of the people, and in this country we are starting to see a situation where after an election you almost have a 50-50 split, or a 60-40 split of the country. How do you make sure that the other lot, their life energy and the investment they want to put in the governance and the leadership of this country comes to bear? So you're creating a platform where either these people will make a deal with the person who has won and perhaps take up the opportunity to run the office of the Prime Minister or to run the DPM, or they will say, okay, it's okay, we have lost, but we want to have our thoughts, matter in terms of how decisions are made, so we will take up the leader of official opposition. And so let's not look at it as this one person. Let's look at it as the people that they're leading, the people who have believed in them, and the ones who end up feeling out of government once an election has ended.
Okay, very quickly on that, because another argument that's coming, because people have interrogated this thing, because we're talking about it in the sense of you and of course being informed by history, that basically we usually have these two horses at the front and they're the ones who are playing hardline politics. What if in the next election we have a number 3 who's very belligerent? Do we go back and change that to make sure we have an official leader of opposition and another post for the person who didn't concede? How do we stop this endless changing of goalposts to fit a certain issue? So
you see, if you've got a bigger bus, it's not a Ferrari situation where only 2 people fit, or the followers of 2 people feel that they're leading this nation. You've got a situation where you've got almost 5 positions. After elections, you will be able to create a big enough force, either through now an alliance with 2 or 3 other people, right? So that even if there is a disgruntled few, they're so few that they would not be able to debilitate our economy. So there would be, say, 25% of parliament maybe left in the opposition or thereabout. Then you wouldn't have this kind of gridlock where this one has almost equal power with this one, and then they are all faced up and there's so much tension. Whatever the case, somebody would be able to marshal. They'll have the tools through now the new constitution. They'll have the room, they'll have the instruments to be able to leverage and navigate the post-election scenario to create a situation where there is a super majority, right, leading, and more Kenyans, a bigger group of Kenyans feeling that they are leading. So the few who would be outside playing there for the role perhaps of the opposition would then be able to play that role constructively without paralyzing the nation.
Dennis, your reaction to this, because I could see you, I don't know if you were taking notes. But
he's not taking notes, and I think he should, because he has really dismissed this BBI solution.
I'll tell you that we all agree, we identify what the problem is and what we want to solve. But the solutions you are proposing to it won't work. We are all failing to appreciate that the reason why 2007, 2008 post-election occurred was not because there were 2 people fighting, but it's because the election was not fair and free. People felt that they were not sure whether it's Kibaki who won or it was Raila who won that election. Those who were supporting Raila felt that if it were free and fair, it was Raila who would have won. Finally, it could not be said who won, and I think that was in the report, and that is why we had the Kofi Annan mediation process, and because each party felt they won, that is why the headline position were there, because if I won the election, why are you telling me to share with you? But we have to get to somewhere. Same issue is what we had in the last elections, where we had the Supreme Court telling us that, look, the process was not fair, and that is why Maraga has nullified the election. And therefore, if the outcome, if they are playing a wrong formula to get particular figures which are wrong, then you cannot tell us, look, the numbers are higher here, so for that reason, let's have the election validated. So we are failing to tackle the main problem, which is having a fair and credible elections. Jeff, I'll tell you, and I'll tell you for a fact, that in 2022, if William Ruto were to run for presidency and Raila Odinga were to run for presidency, but every Kenyan knows that their vote matters. If they cast their vote, it will matter. Whether it will be Ruto will win, or it will be Raila or another person. Then the rest will admit, because they say we didn't have enough numbers. It will not be about the individual. And that is why we feel, some of us, that why we want to say that we bring an individual, then brings us to a question that you are raising, then we will even have another problem, because you are saying you want to bring the main parties, the top leadership, into government, which means they cannot oppose even if they are wrong. There is no system to check the other. Because what we have is that we have a government where one is a prime minister and one is the president, and they are all in the same boat, and it does not make sense. We have official position, but this official position is earning funds, and therefore, if you don't want the official position to run, the executive chooses not to release the funds, so they frustrate the person or they withdraw.
If they ring-fence that money,
in Parliament,
the independence?
That is true.
Funds are given by
that
Parliament.
is true. But why do we need this person to be in that particular seat? We as Kenyans changed that constitution, and we said we want to have independence of these institutions, each institution to check the other. That is why we have Article 10 of the Constitution to talk about public participation. Let my ideas, if I've lost genuinely, let's have a platform where my ideas can be accommodated, not necessarily by saying you're giving me a seat. Because if you give me a seat as an individual, what happens to the rest? And that's why we feel it's about creating jobs, putting more pressure on the already burdened taxpayer, which is not solving the problem. Let us fix our ABC, let us fix the laws. I've said before, if NASA was genuine, their reducible minimum, one of them was to ensure that the IEB is fixed. That died after the handshake. We no longer talk about it anymore. We went to a different issue. But if we ensure that IEBC is properly funded, which it's not, to ensure that it can run its budget and it is a cycle of operations without struggles, then you will be sure that by the time we go to 2022, all kits would have been purchased, verified, every procurement issue would have been attended to. IEBC will be ready to ensure that we have a credible election. But that is not what happens.
You know, Jeff,
Okay,
this issue of elections, you've seen what has happened in America. They have one of the strongest systems of election that you could wish for in any democracy. But you have seen that when a result emerged that did not confirm the interests or affirm the interest of a particular group of people, what did they decide to do? They said that it had been stolen. And that's usually the challenge that we have. It is that when somebody else wins or the result of an election does not reflect what I wanted, then I say that the election was stolen. Because I feel, hey, I'm going to be out, the country is going to be led in a different direction that I did not want. So then what's going to happen to this country in the next 5 years? But if there was a way for me to participate, to be part of the governance and the leadership of the country, then I wouldn't feel like the world has ended just because my philosophies are not going to be part of the governance of the nation going forward. So it's not so much the election system, and yes, I agree we have to make it fit for purpose, the IBC and all that. But we also have to take care that it's not just that. It's also people feeling that, the results are going to, the results have not affirmed what I wanted, and so the results must be fake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then, if you can be able to create an outlet for that energy, then you're able to create stability and we are able to keep the economy running even after elections.
I think we'll have to draw the curtains on this conversation, right? They are quite a robust conversation. I think I'll have the both of you back in those very seats as we move it forward. As always, thank you so much, Dennis Anyoka, for making time for the show. Asante Sana, and of course, Lydia Mathia. Thank you so much for coming for the first time.
Thank you.
Plenty more engagement we'll have
Thank
right
you for
here
having
on
me.
that particular seat.
I appreciate
Thank you so much. And of
Asante.
course, that's where we draw the curtains on this conversation. But don't go too far. We took a short break. We are back as we get interactive. We're also having a Hangout Friday right here. So don't go too far. This is KGT for this morning.